Yo, what is going on YouTube? This is your boy Kamen Rider Zero Spike back again once again today, people. Today we're here for Avataro Sentai Avataro Sentai Donbrothers episode 7. This was a wacky episode, just like all the other episodes been pretty freaking wacky, but this episode was pretty kind of straightforward. Basically, this whole episode is basically dealing with a special lesson thing that they were having at Haruka's at Yellow's school, and basically we see that he's supposed to be the special teacher that they called to be, that special, a special lessons teacher, things like that. So he basically explains like his whole life and things like that, saying like he never touches money because money is like very filthy. He's never had a job, things like that. And we see that all the other students are asking him all these weird questions, things like that. They're trying to get, basically trying to get to know him. And each student in this classroom, I doubt that they're going to be recurring characters, but in this episode we do see that we meet some of these characters and we actually see some of their talents. And his whole thing was about imagination. Basically imagination. And so we got a Tokuja reference, I guess, and we see that he basically explains to them how imagination if you have a good imagination, you basically can do anything that you want. And he starts to pretend that he's eating Yodon noodles and things like that. We see that the other kids can the other students can basically see it, and while they're watching him, we see that Haruka is like, Yellow, she's not dealing with this. She actually does participate in a little exercise that he did, where he had all the students basically envision something that they love to do, and you got to see that some people were eating, some people were kissing, some people were playing video games, things like that. We see that Haruka, she envisioned her fighting monsters and stuff like that, and she actually starts punching and kicking with her eyes closed in the middle of the freaking classroom. And then that's when Taro shows up, and then Taro shows up and he basically explains, he was also asked to come here because he lost in a game of rock paper scissors, so that's the only reason he's even here. So he sits there, he explains what his job is and things like that. He goes to leave, and we see while this is happening, we see that the monster, the possessed person in this episode is going to be the school's principal, who's a very strict principal, but he has really bad allergies, and that's going to come to play later on. So we see that this little mist thing is going around, and it's like disciplining people for doing things that they shouldn't be doing around the city. One person, somebody gets disciplined for littering. This woman gets disciplined for jaywalking, and whenever he disciplines you, he ends up putting you inside of this like paper that sticks on the wall. And basically if you disobey him and things like that, the paper will burn up and then that person will die. So while that's happening throughout the city, we actually do see that Black comes in contact with the mist and things like that. He's trying to fight it off, and it runs off, and he goes after it. We also see that Pink also sees it as well, and then he goes after it. So back in the classroom, we see that Taro is like basically answering different questions from all the other kids and things like that. They're asking him some pretty personal questions, and we also see how the other kids treat Haruka throughout the school. Basically, they call her plagiarist. They don't call her by her name; they just call her plagiarist, and she's kind of bullied and stuff like that for it. And we actually see that Taro ends up actually like being challenged by some of the other kids in the classroom. So we see that one kid challenges him to some karate, where basically they do the exercise where they do either karate chop or a punch, and they ended up breaking something. They ended up like breaking through wood. So the kid, he ends up breaking through like a chair, right? One chair. But then Taro ends up breaking through a bunch of stacked chairs, and he instantly gives up and trying to go against Taro. We see another kid, they end up playing a board game together, and this kid ends up he seemed like he was gonna be a prominent character, but we actually see that he ends up losing a match. I forgot what game this is, but he ends up losing against Taro, and then he ends up surrendering to Taro. So even though Taro's only played once, but that's the thing about Taro, he's actually a prodigy. He's in anything that he does, he's automatically freaking good at it. He's automatically a pro at it. So we see that Blue also wants to challenge him as well, but he does the same thing Pink did in the last episode, where he imagined doing go up against Taro and like dramatically losing. It was same thing with it was the same as how Pink was with sumo wrestling, arm wrestling, and thumb wrestling. So he ends up challenging Taro to like tongue twisters, and we see that Taro beats him at every single one of them. So while that's happening, we actually see that the Mist has actually caught up to the school, and he ends up punishing a few kids in the school, in the classroom, for doing things that they shouldn't be doing, like being on your phone, doing your makeup, doing your nails, chewing gum, stuff like that. He ends up imprisoning them inside of this paper, and it's up to the rest of the team to basically end up taking him out. He ends up it's the principal. He ends up transforming into Anadazaki. I think that's what they're called. I'm trying to remember, but he ends up transforming into a monster, and we actually see that he ends up putting them in like this classroom, where basically if they disobey him, then the paper on the all the kids who are stuck in the paper and all the other people, that paper will start to burn up, and then eventually when it burns up completely, they all die. So he ends up disciplining them multiple times in this, but we see that Taro ain't having none of that, and he ends up saying that, hey, we this guy, if we go ahead and beat him before the paper ends up burning up, then we win, So earlier in the episode, we did see that Blue and Yellow ended up asking Taro, why do you attack us, stuff like that. He's basically to train you. He basically asked him, saying, to train you so you'll be good companions throughout the in the future, and the fact, and also you won't be you won't like get in my way, you won't get in my way or be dead weight or anything like that. So he also asked his other questions, like, the only reason, basically, just to train you guys, stuff like that. So let's just see our three bad guys. They're there, and they're there to also attack. They're also there to basically destroy the monster. We see that Taro ends up beating the monster. They end up fighting the monster while in the city and things like that. And this is a fairly quick kind of fight. It isn't like all that long or anything like that. I thought we weren't going to get a mecha fight in this episode, but we actually ended up doing it. For a while, we haven't gotten a mecha fight in a while. Not a long while, but we haven't gotten a real mech fight that much. So we see that they end up taking him out. They end up destroying him, and he ends up transforming. We get our mecha battle. I'm ready to actually see I'm ready to see when the other Rangers end up getting their own mechs and things like that, because it just seems like Taro is out here single-handedly taking out these monsters. That's what it really does feel like. He's the one that's mostly taking out these monsters and things like that, especially when he's the only one with a mech or anything like that. So we see that he ends up defeating the monster, and when he defeats him, we see that I forgot what Sentai this is, but the Sentai gear ends up going to Kaito. Now we see that that's the only time we see Kaito in this episode at all. We don't see him, we see him in the beginning when looking at the points, looking at the point system thing. No Jin in this episode either, only in flashbacks really. But yeah, so the gear ends up, I forgot what team this is. I think it was Live Man. Correct me if I'm wrong in the comments, but yeah, so the gear ends up going to Kaito, and basically our episode kind of ends off right there. Kind of like an abrupt kind of ending. This episode was kind of like a one and done type of thing. It was very quick. It was a very quick episode that we had going on here, but other than that, still a good episode. It was nice. It was fun. Got to see more like the team kind of like bonding or whatever. Well, it was only between three of them, but yeah. So I'm gonna see you guys next time. You guys let me know down in the comment section below what you guys think about this episode. Did you like it? Did you hate it? Was it a little bit too silly for you? A little bit too wacky for you? Things like that. And I'll see you guys next time. And remember, stay Henshin.